Welcome, everyone, to our podcast episode where we dive into real-life English conversations. Today, we'll focus on weekend chores and responsibility, a topic that's both practical and easy for beginners. Ben, do you find weekend routines helpful for English learners?
Absolutely, Lily. Discussing routines helps learners understand daily life vocabulary and practice the present simple tense. It connects directly to things everyone does, like cleaning or shopping, which makes new words stick better.
That's a great point. By talking about our own weekends, we not only learn new words, but also practice natural conversation flow. Let's start by sharing our typical weekend routines before breaking down the vocabulary.
Sounds good. I think listeners will relate, and by hearing our real examples, they'll feel more confident using these structures themselves.
Let's get specific. I usually say, I do the laundry on Saturday. Notice I use the present simple tense to describe my routine. Ben, how do you talk about your chores?
I might say, I clean the kitchen every Sunday. Using simple verbs like clean or wash makes it clear. The present simple tense shows that these actions happen regularly, not just once.
Exactly. For beginners, it's important to remember. Use the base form of the verb for I, you, we, and they. For example, I vacuum the living room, or they shop for groceries.
Right! And if you want to talk about someone else, like she cooks dinner, you add an "es" to the verb. This rule helps learners sound more natural in daily conversations.
Now, let's focus on chore-related words. When I say I mop the floor, what does mop mean for someone new to English?
Mop means to clean the floor with a special tool and water. It's like sweeping, but with wet cleaning. Other common chores are fold the laundry, which means to organize clean clothes, and vacuum, which means to clean the carpet using a machine.
Great explanations. Wash can mean cleaning dishes or clothes with water and soap, and cook is making food. These action verbs are useful for talking about almost any household task.
Exactly. And using these words helps learners describe their daily lives more accurately. Repeating them in different contexts builds confidence.
Transitions like every weekend, usually, and in the morning show when we do these tasks. For example, I usually go shopping in the afternoon. How do you use these expressions, Ben?
I might say, I vacuum the living room every Saturday morning. Adding time expressions makes routines clearer and helps the listener understand your schedule.
That's right. Using these phrases also helps beginners create longer, more detailed sentences. For example, I clean the kitchen every Sunday evening after dinner.
Exactly. And practicing these structures is a great way to build stronger communication skills.
Let's compare chores. Some tasks we do alone, others we share with family or roommates. For example, I fold my laundry, but I share cooking with my partner. What about you, Ben?
I usually take out the trash, but my roommate and I both wash the dishes. Sharing chores can make them faster and help everyone feel responsible. It's common in many households.
That's a good point. In some cultures, chores are a family activity, while in others, each person has their own tasks. Discussing this helps learners compare their routines with others.
Yes, and it's a great way to start conversations about daily life and learn new vocabulary from different cultures.
Imagine if you had no chores for a weekend, what would you do instead? This type of question lets us practice vocabulary and use our imagination. Ben, what's your dream chore-free weekend?
If I had no chores, I'd spend the day reading or meeting friends at a cafe. It's a fun exercise for learners to use new verbs and expressions like relax, visit, or explore.
Exactly. Hypothetical situations help reinforce the difference between routine actions and special occasions. They also encourage creativity in language learning.
And by practicing both, learners become more comfortable talking about both their real and imagined experiences.
Sometimes, people forget to do a chore or mix up words like wash and clean. What tips do you have for overcoming these common challenges, Ben?
A good tip is to make a checklist and use pictures to match words with actions. For example, a photo of someone vacuuming helps learners remember the verb vacuum. Consistent practice helps too.
That's practical advice. Repeating phrases like, I wash the dishes, or I clean my room every day can build strong language habits.
Exactly. And even making a simple chore chart at home in English can reinforce both vocabulary and the present simple tense.
Let's talk about real-world situations. Sometimes you need to ask a roommate for help or explain your routine to a friend. How can beginners do this confidently?
Start with polite requests like, "Can you help me clean the kitchen?" Or statements like, "I usually take out the trash in the evening." Practicing these sentences helps learners feel more at ease.
And if you make a mistake, don't worry. Most people appreciate the effort to communicate, even if the grammar isn't perfect.
That's right. The key is to keep speaking and using the language in real situations as much as possible.
Now is time for our speaking challenge. Listeners, try to describe your own weekend chores using 3 to 5 simple sentences. For example, I do the laundry on Saturday. I clean my room in the morning. I shop for groceries in the afternoon. Ben, can you give another example?
Sure. I wash the dishes after breakfast. I vacuum the living room every Sunday. I cook dinner with my family. Practicing out loud helps you remember the words and build your confidence.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to repeat these sentences or change the order to match your own schedule.
And if you get stuck, just use the vocabulary we practiced today. Over time, your sentences will get longer and more detailed.
Before we finish, let's recap. Today, we discussed common household chores, useful verbs, present simple tense, and time expressions. Ben, what's one final tip for listeners who want to keep improving?
Keep practicing by talking to friends or even speaking to yourself about your daily routines. Listening to simple English podcasts and repeating phrases is a great way to build fluency.
That's excellent advice. Remember, making mistakes is part of learning. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to talk about your weekend and daily life.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us today, and keep practicing your English every weekend and every day.